client's data, using those data to solve their problem, and also using those data to help understand the risk they are facing in their businesses, as well as trying to understand the mitigations they can use to rectify those risks.
All right, thank you so much. So just to put it out there, now those of the insurance guys that spoke earlier, they deal with numbers internally most of the times, but as consultants we deal with clients. So when you hear them talk about clients, that means we are interfacing with other insurance companies who need consulting services. So as consultants, we are not just giving out the numbers. There are things that goes into calculations, there are things that go into modeling. And for you to be a trusted advisor, you must know and own your numbers. By knowing and owning your numbers, you are simply understanding all of that has gone through the back end, your data cleaning, the assumptions you have made, the modeling you have come up with. You understand what you have gone through. So when the client comes to make some kind of clarifications, you are ready and you know what you have done. So you are able to advise the client, in a proper way. You are not just confused about the numbers you are giving them. So I will go to the next question, and this will be going to Sateslim. How would you describe actuarial consulting to someone who only sees actuaries as number crunchers? Did we get the question? So, should I come again? Yes. All right. How would you describe actuarial consulting to someone who only sees actuaries as number crunchers? So, a lot of people just think it's mathematics, but yes, mathematics. But then, for you to be a trusted advisor, there are some skills that as actuaries you need to have. So, yeah, let me use the floor.
Okay, so when you hear actuaries when you hear the term number crunchers, it's not just about playing with data or trying to get the model right. So the real value comes in, bringing the numbers and then, communicating it to your clients in a very effective way. I'm sorry that I have to be using the word clients, because that's what we do as consultants. We interface more with clients. So as actuaries or someone in actuarial consulting, you are the intersection of, liaising with people in finance, strategy, and then, the board generally. So it's very important that there is sort of an effective communication whenever you are trying to put that numbers out there. So that's essentially it.
Okay, thank you so much. Deborah, you want to add something?
Yeah, so as we all know, many people think actuaries just sit behind their laptop all day trying to calculate numbers. But honestly, we do work with numbers, but we use those numbers to solve a problem for the client. Come to think of it this way, a client might approach us and say they are worried they might not be able to meet the future obligations of their customers, or rather they are worried about the future risks they are likely to face. Our responsibility is to work with those numbers and use those numbers to get the risk they are facing. For example, you have to understand the data, you have to understand the risks that the client is likely to face, as well as give them reliable recommendations to help mitigate those risks. So I will be stating an example. For example, when you visit an hospital, your doctor will not just read your results to you, rather he will read the results, explain the results, and as well as give you treatment that could help cure that illness. So as an actuary, we are not just number crunchers. We use those numbers to solve clients' problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. So yes, back to you, Deborah. The next question. So it says, in consulting, you are often advising on high-stake decisions. How do you handle the responsibility of getting it right when clients are relying on your recommendations? So I come again. In consulting, you are often advising on high-stake decisions. How do you handle the responsibility of getting it right when clients are relying on your recommendations?
Well, if I'm to say, the pressure is actually real because our most of the work we do influence important decisions that the company have to make. So in that, what I focused on is doing the work accurately, make sure I try to avoid any mistake that could occur during the course of the work, and as well as communicate the limitation, any limitations that I face during the course of the work to the client, and any assumptions that is giving me challenge. I try to communicate that to the client. And one thing we should put at the back of our mind is that nobody knows it all. At the end of the day, the client will still have to make the final decision based on the recommendation we give them.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so for me, there are three things that comes to my mind. Transparency, the discipline that comes with it, and then the rigor. So what do I mean? As an actuarial consultant, it is common knowledge that you need to be grounded academically. So before you can even get to that spot in the first place, you are someone that you are analytically sound. So having gone through that, so the transparency comes into play when you are able to be clear about the assumptions that you are communicating to your clients, be it the financial assumptions or the demographic assumptions. Apologies, I'm having to say some material jargons, but I mean that's how it is. So, and then the third part speaks to the discipline. A lot is happening almost at the same time. We are having to service more than 10 clients, in a quarter. So there's every likelihood that you can slack or want to drop the ball. And as an actuarial consultant, it's your obligation to ensure that at every point in time you are delivering quality work, because that's what will make you relevant in the long run. So, and finally, no man is an island. Collaboration is very important. You can be the very best student in the class. When you get to the industry will humble you. You have to sort of bring yourself down, learn from the very best, and ensure that you are working as a team. Emphasis on working as a team, because you cannot do it alone. So that's it.
Thank you so much for the submissions. So to add to that, let's be clear that in the consulting space, there's pressure. There's pressure. Just have it at the back of your mind compared to an insurance company. So in the insurance company, you're just dealing with your internal stuff. But in the consulting space, you are attending to lots of clients. You can have 10, 15 clients you are working with, and it requires a lot of attention. It requires a lot of attention to details to really scale through. So yes, let's go to the next question, and this is going to Testing here. So in your experience, what differentiates a recommendation that changes the course of a business from one that is simply a technical calculation? So let me rephrase that question. How do you bridge the gap between complex technical findings and recommendations that influence important business decisions?
Okay, so as a trusted advisor or as an actuarial consultant, you have to be able to look beyond the numbers. So take for instance, you are trying to value a pension fund, and then you have arrived at a liability. So that number that you have come up with, how are you able to look beyond beyond, okay, this is the deficit position as at the time you are valuing the liability. The client is not really interested in that. How will that number affect their balance sheet? How will it, what are the strategies, what are the alternatives, what are the trade-offs that they need to put into place to ensure that they don't take such a hit? So you are moving from the point where you are not just communicating the numbers, but you are also advising them to say, okay, yes, look, this is what the numbers look like. However, you can mitigate these numbers by probably reducing the benefits, the benefits that you get from the valuation. Like maybe you're trying to like revisit the benefit structure so that okay, they cannot be able to take all the liabilities at the same time. So you are co-creating. So that's the word. It's not just you pushing the numbers to them saying this is what your liability looks like. You need to book it in your financials. You go beyond booking that number, to the point where you are able to advise on what they need to do in terms of the strategy, and then if they need to probably review or revisit their benefit structure, they will be able to do that. So, as trusted advisors, you are expected to look beyond the numbers. You're expected to actively